Lose fat fast. 5 simple steps. So if you're working out or driving, just consider listening. I'm going to share with you a few key things on how to lose fat fast and give you 5 simple steps. If you do have access to pen or paper, I'm going to please consider grabbing it, because there's some things you might want to write down and lock in your memory and internalize and really lock it down deep in your soul. So that's going to really make a difference in your fitness journey, right? So lose fat fast, 5 simple steps. The first thing I feel is the most important thing is to have a clear, specific goal, right? So if you could wave a realistic magic wand and you can have your body, your health, your energy, you could feel any kind of way you wanted physically between now and say a year from now, what would that look like for you? Think about it. Get clear and specific. I feel the more clear and specific you can be on your fitness goals, the better, right? So one thing to consider, there's several ways to do fitness goals, but a very basic approach is to have a specific body weight and a specific body fat percent. So think about it. If you could have it any kind of way you wanted, what would your body weight and your body fat percent be? Now, how do you know that, right? How's that, all right? Well, understanding and internalizing what body fat percentage look like, one way to do it is to go on Google, do a Google image search, look up men's and women's body fat percentages. Right, men's and women's body fat percentages. And a lot of times you'll have a men's version and a women's version, and it's going to be from the low end to the high end, right? So you'll see a very lean, athletic person to the heaviest fat you can think about. And it'll give you the breakdown of the percentages. Under 5%, between, 10, 12%, 20%, 30%, and up. And you can look at the gauge, right? And you can kind of get an idea based on the scale of where you would like to be. Look at the pictures and determine which level of body fat you want, right? Now, another great way to do it is to have a scan done. And then to actually measure your body fat, right? Because you want to know where you're at. Now, you can look at the scales on the images and determine kind of generally where you're at. You can look at the picture, and you can look at you and compare the two, and you can kind of judge where you're at based on the pictures. But if you want to go even deeper, though, and get an exact measure, a lot of times, like at my doctor's office, if you find a doctor that's kind of more cutting edge, has a hormone, like they do the hormones over 40 kind of thing. A lot of them, they have these scans. Mine has a great scan. It's called a DEXA scan. And you stand on it and it scans everything. And you get a 3-page report, anywhere from body fat, your exact body fat percent, to hydration, to skin texture, all kind of good stuff. So have a clear, specific goal, know exactly where you're headed. I encourage you to have a specific body weight and a body fat percent, right? Now, let's set this up, and I'm going to come back to it at the end of this lesson, but let's set this up. So say you have your body weight and your body fat percent. I'm going to help you. Let's set up a affirmation/prayer. So the affirmation/prayer is you have your body weight and goal. That's we're going to plug those in, right? So we have, I am happy and grateful now that I am, you say your body weight and your body fat percent. That's what I want you to write down. If you have that pen and paper and you want to write something down and lock it into your memory, here you go. I am happy and grateful now that I am your body weight and your body fat percent. That's a good affirmation / prayer. Think about it. You're saying you're happy and grateful right now that you are this goal. So you're internalizing what it feels like to be the goal that you're shooting for. Right? So I hope that makes sense. Right? So now that we have a clear, specific goal, let's talk about the 5 simple steps. And if you have any questions, or if you want to say hello or any comments, feel free to jump in. If we just want to listen, that's fine. We're talking about losing fat fast. And now we're going to go with the 5 simple steps. So the very first pre-step is to really have a clear, specific, defined goal. Know exactly what it is, where you're headed. And then we're going to have the 5 simple steps, which are training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, and mindset. Those are the 5 simple steps: training, nutrition, recovery, supplementation, and mindset. We're going to break them down. Let's look at training. When it comes to training, I feel it's very important to have a combination of a blend of strength training and cardiovascular training. Let's have a mix. For example, imagine if you have a twin-engine airplane and you're flying along, and one engine is strength training and one engine is cardiovascular training, and you want to have both engines going strong, not just one engine. So I encourage you in your exercise routine, have a strong combination of strength training and cardiovascular training. When making up a training program, consider these 5 principles: proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles, and consistency. Proper form. Why would it be important to make sure we have proper form when exercising on your program? 2 big reasons to have proper form: so that you don't get hurt and so that you exercise the muscle effectively. If you get hurt, that's going to really set you back. I've always hated injuries. Right? So I made it a lifelong passion of mine. I love working out. I've done it since I was 14. So I've made it a lifeline study of mastering proper form of the exercises. So how can you master the form of exercises? Well, one thing is consider the distance. Have you ever heard the term, get your 10,000 hours in? Just start going. Whether you work out an hour, if you work out an hour 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week, just you put in the time, put in the distance. Consider making it a study, being fascinated about form, going at it with a childlike enthusiasm. How do you do that? Just go on YouTube. Once you create your workout, you create a routine, have all the exercises that you have in there, and study them on YouTube. Look up the exercise, not just one person, but look at it from 2 or 3 different people. And study the form. Look at where are their elbows, how are they standing? Are their knees bent or straight? Are their elbows straight or bent? What is that? And learn to master the form. So proper form, then variety. Why would it be important to have variety over time in your workout? Why can't we just do the same thing over and over again? Why add variety into the routine? Two big reasons. Have you ever heard of a plateau? That's, I think, probably is the biggest reason, is because you're going to reach a certain point. You're going to reach a plateau. And what is a plateau? That's where you get stuck. You get to a certain point in your journey and you get stuck. So by adding variety to your routine, you can continue that progress, right? Now, also, too, it will also be more mentally stimulating. Right? So mental boredom, which we could get by if we had results, but also we physically will reach a plateau in our fitness journey, in your fitness journey. If you do the same workout over a period of months and years, you're most likely going to plateau if it's the same thing over and over again. There's lots of ways to add variety. How can we add variety to our workouts? Changing the way we group the body parts together, that's one way. Doing different exercises, that's another way. Changing the rep ranges from 5 to 10 or maybe 20 to 30. Changing the speed of the movement, the tempo. Have you ever studied tempo? In strength training, there's the speed of the movement. And it's measured in tempo on the way down, at the bottom, on the way up. And you can literally measure it and you can change it up. And that's one way to add variety. For example, 3 seconds on the way down, 1 second here, 2 seconds on the way up, which is one I love. Or 5 seconds on the way down, 0, 1. There's all kind of ways to do it. So all those things, consider all those things. So we talked about proper form, variety, then intensity. What comes to mind when you think about exercising with intensity? What comes to mind? Challenging yourself, pushing it, right? Going the extra end of the set, right? So imagine for a moment that we're going for 12 repetitions. We're doing a push press. We're going for 12 repetitions. We're at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We barely get number 12, but we got it. What's the most beneficial part of that set? The first few reps or the last few reps? Think about it. Right? It'd be the last few reps, right? And why would it be the last few reps? That's where the challenge is. That's where the overload is. It's that last bit. That's where that maximum effort is. And what's going to happen is your body's going to have to regrow back more muscle to deal with that stress. It's basically a defensive mechanism. It's kind of like when you go out in the sun and your body will give you a suntan or a sunburn if you did it fast. But when we stress the body and the muscles out in the gym, it's through the rest, our sleep, and nutrition, the foods we eat, that they grow back more and overcompensate. But that intensity level, that's what really triggers the muscle growth. So consider that. So we talked about proper form, variety, intensity, proper training principles. There's lots of training principles to consider. Compound sets, drop sets, supersets, cheating principle, rest pause training. Get fascinated about training principles. Do a Google search and look up all the training principles and figure out how to incorporate them into your workouts. Be happy to know the app will be downloadable soon on both Google Play Store and Apple. And I'm going to be putting free workouts on there you can play around with and see how you like them. I'm going to put beginner, intermediate, advanced, 3-day workouts, 4-day workouts, 5-day workouts, and see how you like it. So coming soon. So anyway, intensity. So we talked about proper form, variety, intensity, and we just talked about incorporating proper training principles. Now, last but not least is consistency. What do you think about why is the power of consistency important in your program? Imagine for a moment that we have you and say you have a twin of you. And imagine we're going to go for a 1 year. We're going to go for a 1 year fitness goal, right? You start off, you work out 4 days a week, combination of strength and cardio. You eat 80, 90% well. You get your rest 80, 90% well. The other person starts off that way, but then some days skips a workout here and there. Some days skips a good meal, has more processed foods. At the end of the year, who's going to have the best progress? The consistent person, you, right? So the power of consistency, being consistent with your exercise program, be consistent with your nutrition program, be consistent with your recovery, your sleep program, being consistent with your supplements, and being consistent with your mindset. That's what's going to get you there in the long term. Employing those principles daily, weekly, month on, month out, full moon after full moon, year after year, decade after decade. So that summarizes training. Now, let's look at nutrition. Imagine for a moment that we want to build a beautiful 2-story house from scratch. And imagine that we only have half the materials necessary to build the house. How far are we going to get? Maybe halfway, right? Part of the way. So the foods that you and I eat on a daily basis are like the supplies that goes towards building our bodies. So consider that with your eating plan. What is your eating plan? Do you have a eating plan? Do you have a nutrition philosophy? Or are you just winging it? Consider having your own nutrition plan, your own nutrition protocol, whatever it is. If it's not mine, create your own. But something that you plan, you're doing intentionally. You're not just being willy-nilly. All right. So what do I recommend to myself and my clients? Glad you asked. A whole food, plant-based approach, the best way, as much as possible, is what I recommend. At least 80% or better would be great. I'd say at least that's what I really strongly recommend. And then 90% or better is what would be wonderful. I strive to live at 95% or better. But we don't always hit our markers, but 90%, 80%, we're in the range. Right? So consider that. And if you want to do a deeper dive on nutrition, have you seen the documentary The Game Changers yet? It's on Netflix and YouTube. And it really breaks down the nutrition science behind why whole food, plant-based foods, I feel, are the way to go. It's going to keep your arteries clean. It's going to prevent you from long-term disease. You're going to have better sex. You're going to have a better, healthier quality of life. Men will have better boners. There's all kinds of reasons to have a whole food, plant-based diet. Now, let's talk about what happens with the types of foods that we eat. So imagine for a moment we have a fireplace. And imagine that on one hand we have a stack of oak wood, and on the other hand we have a stack of paper. And not including kindling and getting the fire started, but if you had to choose between the oak wood or the paper to burn in your fireplace, which one would you pick and why? Well, most of us will pick the oak wood. And why? Because it's going to burn longer, slower, more efficiently. Whole food, plant-based foods burn more like oak wood, very slow, very efficient. So consider those as your choices. Any questions on that? Let me know, or any comments. Let's move on to recovery. Over the last few years, I've trained 3 different neurologists and done lots of research on sleep. Where I'm at with it is, for myself, I know everybody's a little different, but I have a range. For most people, 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night, getting 2 hours of deep and 2 hours of REM every night. That's the ideal. See, when you work out in the gym, you break the muscles down. It's through the nutrition and the sleep that it grows back. It's almost like with plants, you get the sun and the water, and the plant grows. With us, we get the food and the sleep, and our muscles will grow when they're stimulated. But at least that's the healthy approach. Even if you don't work out, having optimal sleep will help to assist you with optimal health. So that's my range, 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night, 2 hours of deep, 2 hours of REM. So we talked about exercise, nutrition, recovery. Let's address supplementation. I feel there are basically 2 categories of supplementation: nutritional supplementation and enhancement performance supplementation. Nutritional supplementation is like a protein smoothie. I'm going to have one right after this video when we're done. And I love them. I have a plant-based strawberry smoothie. I put frozen strawberries and blueberries and almond milk and blend it up with some other supplements. Wow, it is delicious. Love it. And then we have enhancement performance supplements like creatine. I'll put creatine in my shake. It's an enhancement performance supplement. I recommend anyone interested in building muscle to consider creatine. So we talked about supplements. Now, last but not least is mindset. So the power of the mindset in your fitness. Imagine for a moment that we're going to build a beautiful resort building. And we have one of those cranes out front, big crane with a person sitting in the box. That box is like your mindset. The crane is like the body. And it controls our mindset, controls our body, not the other way around. So once your mindset is made up that you're going to do whatever kind of exercise program and nutrition program and sleep that you set out to do, once you make up your mind, you just do it. You get your mindset tells your body, hey, this is what we're doing. Not the other way around. Your body doesn't tell your mindset, oh, I don't feel like doing it today. It's not an issue. It's not a question mark. People who are successful in fitness have the mindset they're gonna get that workout in almost no matter what. I mean, you have to be pretty dire. It's the mindset. Imagine for a moment that you're in the ocean. And if you've ever been in the ocean, there's this tide that kind of carries you down the way. And in fitness, it's like when you're going against the tide, or when you're going against that rip tide, when you're going against the tide, you're getting that resistance. It's the same as when we're going with fitness. We're going into resistance with our training, nutrition, recovery. It's challenging. If it wasn't challenging, everyone would be fit. Not only 20% of the people in the world will be fit. It's challenging. So you are going against resistance. Everyone feels it. Champions feel it. Regular people feel it. All fitness people feel it. It's not easy. It's simple. We know what to do, but it's not easy. But when you do consistently, you exercise and you eat healthy and you get your rest and you supplement intelligently and you're daily affirming your goals, you're going to cut through that resistance and you will be successful. Now, some people can be successful on their own and have that drive to do it on their own. And some people really need accountability, but not accountability to a friend or a loved one, someone that's going to nag them. Accountability to a professional, right? So whether it's to me or someone else, if you feel like you are that kind of person, reach out to a coach, whether it's an in-person personal trainer or a virtual fitness trainer. I do virtual fitness training. If you're interested in collaborating with me, I have a very affordable program. Message me for a consultation. Message me. My number's inside the information of the video, and we'll set up a consultation. Sometimes accountability is what does the trick. Is you are accountable to your own self-imposed actions, your own self-imposed goals. You know what your goals are, and the coach, myself, hold you accountable to the actions that will get you to your goal. With that being said, remember that our health is wealth. Consider that. Take care of your health. And remember the basics. To lose fat fast, exercise, combination of strength training and cardio, eat healthy, whole food, plant-based diet, get your sleep, 7.5 to 9 hours sleep a night with 2 hours of deep, 2 hours of REM, supplement intelligently, and have your affirmation/goal. I am happy and grateful now that I am your body weight, your body fat percent. Like, I am happy and grateful now that I am at least 190 pounds and at or below 10% body fat. That's mine. But that's how you use it as an example. Right. So those are the summaries. My goal is to be here every Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, 1:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Be blessed, and I'll see you next time. Bring your questions anytime. Be blessed.